Aries, welcome to your last horoscope for 2022. Can you imagine? Hello Aries, welcome back. As I said, this is your last horoscope for the year 2022. What a whirlwind. We've really been through it, haven't we? I'm very proud of you Aries. You've done so beautifully so far, and we've got some great things to prepare for. So let's dive straight into it. This is going to be a new moon in Capricorn that's going to finish off 2022. It's happening on Friday, the 23rd of December at 9:17 p.m. if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me. So that's, change the times for your time zone. This has a lot of emphasis, this lunation, and it's got a great deal that I feel can gird you for what's to come the following year. So Capricorn for you, Aries, it rules your 10th house, which is your most public self. It's how you're publicly perceived. It's got a lot to do with your legacy, things like that too. So think about Capricorn first up. What do you know of Capricorn, and how can you relate that energy to your own? And I think that we can probably be fairly straightforward with that. We know that Capricorn is incredibly diligent and works a mile a minute. Capricorn is in some ways willing and wanting and hoping to succeed, to stick to task, to be responsible and diligent and practical. That's all like sort of lofty, high of, in the best possible light. That's Capricorn. We know that in the shadow side of Capricorn can be an addiction to the public self, insofar as then the private self dissipates. There is no version of the private self because all of the emphasis is on the public. That 10th house, the house that is the most visible on the chart. It's the house at the very top of the chart. What's happening at this lunation, this new moon, the magical time for you to ask for your next adventure, what it is that you hope to achieve in your legacy, in your most public presentation. There's a lot of extra emphasis in there too. So not only do we have the sun and the moon at 1 degree, we also have Venus and Mercury, and Pluto obviously is still lingering around the final degrees of Capricorn. Pluto will leave Capricorn next year. They're going to enter Aquarius on March the 24th. For a couple of months, they'll stay in Aquarius, and then they'll head back into Capricorn on June the 12th. So we know that Pluto takes a long time to shift its way around the zodiac. I think it takes some 248 years to go one cycle around. So with it brings an incredible amount of power and destruction, and then regeneration. So I wonder if you've got any planets in Capricorn as well, Aries, because you can probably speak further to this idea of destruction and regeneration. We've got to prepare you for your next mission. That's what I really feel at this reading, Aries. I really want to set you up with some confidence, and I want to set you up with an action plan. Okay? So think about that. Capricorn has Venus in there. There's a strict sort of, there's a strict machine that's playing in your 10th as well. There's the messenger to the gods. There's communication that's happening around that area. I feel that there's something very embodied in this energy for you, Aries. There's mastery here, and there's also a kind of I don't feel that there'll be any no's being taken. Does that make sense? You won't take no for an answer, is what I feel in regard to your legacy, your public self. This is an activated new moon. There's power in here. The lunation, so the sun and the moon, are squaring off with Jupiter, which is in your first house. It's in Aries, only at 0 degrees. Will have just entered. So there's something spiritual going on too. If you can think about the cardinal nature, the initiator that you are, and also the cardinal nature, the initiator that Capricorn is. That's two bosses that I can see. Right now, these planets are squaring off. So there's pressure there, there's tension. So as far as the expansive quality of Jupiter, as far as that kind of soul-searching spiritual quest that I dare say you might be really entering into next year, we'll be experiencing eclipses in your sign next year. So there's going to be a lot of shedding in terms of your solo mission and in your relationships. Lots of things will need to give in order to make way for the new. It's going to be a powerful moment for you. If you've got friends that are into astrology, perhaps talk to your Taurians and your Scorpios and see how the eclipses played out for them. It might give you a little clue as to what's in store for you, Aries. Also, as I said before, Pluto is moving into Aquarius. So there's going to be a jolt to the system as far as our sense of community and humanity, as far as the group that's bigger than yourself, that's bigger than your individual speck of stardust and your career, your vocation. It's got a lot to do with all of us. So there's going to be room here for you to be able to contribute to this once the appropriate things have started to fall away. So at this lunation, at this new moon in Capricorn, right before the holiday period, I want to extend an offer that if you're, no matter how you're feeling about the holiday period coming up, I want you to know that you're included and that you're loved and supported very, very dearly. And that I understand under the guise of the consumerist compulsion of this festive season that we're all told, like robots in a lot of ways, to, get together, feel nice, have a good time, do this, do that. That can really work if you're in the right mood for it, and if you're feeling connected and feeling, it's a great time to reflect. It can, for some other people, bring up a whole bunch of loneliness. And I don't care how many people are around you, there may be a feeling of isolation in that. So if that's what you're going through, I want you to hang on to this astrology as a really nice support and structure for what's to come for you, Aries. We've been through it this year just gone. There's been a couple of different difficult aspects, hasn't there? There's going to be a real movement in your sign next year. There's going to be real changes that we all feel, that your individual contribution will aid and benefit the others. So maybe what I'm getting to at this new moon, it might be a nice moment for you to take the moment, I would say, for yourself, as much as there's like responsibilities for, getting together with this, that, the other, being available, as you're so great at being available, it might be also just check in with yourself, check your feelings and commit to this action plan, because I can see some great work coming out of you, Aries, and I see some great healing work that other folks will benefit from. And when it comes to your public self, when it comes to how you're perceived out in the open, I want you to really consider your hopes and the revolution that you've either experienced or wish to experience. The 10th is not just about work and career. It is about those things. It is also about how we're publicly perceived, what's visible about us. So if there's a breaking point or a breaking through that you're longing and hoping and wishing and ready for in terms of how other folks perceive you, then this is the activation point. This is the red button. Let's press our spell button and start these wheels in motion. What does Venus mean to you? What is this? I've got this, art and beauty and love. Yeah. Burning like a silver flame. She's got it. Maybe. Look, if it hits, it hits, right? There's a real confidence to this lunation for you, Aries. And I think it's really going to be really great. I guess with that square with Jupiter in the first, I think there's going to be time for the self-expression to really start to come. So maybe if we go back to the 10th, and if we go back to that idea of the messenger, Mercury being in there and stationing retrograde in Capricorn, so there's going to be a back and forth. There's going to be a great time to mull over some of these plottings and plannings, is what I feel. And so maybe you don't need to profess anything until after Mercury stations direct on the 19th of January. Maybe it might be a great thing for you to really come into the reality of what this astrology may mean for you. What revolutions of public perception are coming to you? How do you request folks perceive you from now on? That would be a really great question, and maybe a great thing to write down. This is actually who I am and what I offer, and this is my experience, and this is my presentation. I will be received and perceived the way that I choose. That's really nice. That's really nice. That has something to do with this Jupiter in the first as well. So there's going to be great moments to heal some wounds around this space, I reckon, on your soul level, on your sort of, the essence of why on earth we might be here. There's going to be some great healing to happen, and also a lot of shedding with those eclipses next year. So maybe in Fantasyland at this new moon, the last lunation right before the new year, how are you going to be perceived from now on? What is your legacy? What do you offer? And what is public? What is access all areas? How do you walk down the street from now on? How do you hold yourself? How do you present? How do you dress the goddess? What does all of that look like? What is this emperor? That's you, Aries. Remember, in the major secrets of the tarot, you are the emperor. You are the one that is self-possessed. Is that the right thing to say? Self-contained? Self-actualized is probably better. Self-actualized. Self-possessed can maybe be a bit derogatory. And that's not to say... You know what I mean. Sometimes, maybe the self-actualized can sometimes be a bit self-possessed, self-obsessed. But that's all right. That's fine. That's okay. You're here to remind us that we all have pride. We all have the right to be to be self-actualized. Sorry, that was a bit facetious, but you know what I mean, don't you? I like this to be the last lunation of the year for you, Aries. I think this is going to be really a great time for you to maybe reclaim some of your power. Maybe, I don't know, after the last horoscopes and after the last astrology, I imagine that there's been some hits to the system as far as what you're worth and what you rely upon in others. Think about that. The eclipses were in Taurus and Scorpio, so it was your access, your self-reliance, your ability to support yourself, and then the structures that do support you. So we're moving away from that. We still have an eclipse in Taurus to deal with. We still have another eclipse in Scorpio, but we're rounding that up. We're moving into the area where there's going to be an eclipse in your first house, your house of the very self. So how do you want that very self to be perceived by others? That's what I want you to think about, and that's what I want you to cast spells about at this lunation right before the holidays. That's all, Aries. I love you heaps. Head to umaruby.com, get your birth chart read by me, and do let me know in the comments down underneath this video what you wish to share next year, because I'm expanding on this work. I love it so much, and it's given me such a great sense of purpose, and I can't tell you how excited I am to continue to learn and to continue to share what I've come up with and what I'm being supported by. So if there's other areas in astrology that you'd like to learn about, perhaps if there's other areas in the tarot that might be interesting for you, if you like my teaching style, then let me know how I can expand my contribution to the group. That's what I'd like to hear from you, Aries. All right, I'll see you next year. Bye.